This is the Boys podcast from TV Podcast Industries. We're back wrapping up the Boys season 4 and announcing the winner of our pub quiz.
Who's Kessler?
Kessler.
In the Flatiron, you shouted a name, Kessler, and something that had to do with Ezekiel. What was that?
No idea what you're on about there, love.
Welcome back, fellow boys and girls, for the final time for The Boys Season 4. We are discussing everything about Season 4 and all your feedback on the last episode of Season 4. And we're going to be talking about our pub quiz, giving out all our answers and hopefully awarding a winner for our Boys Pub Quiz for Season 4. I'm one of your hosts, Darick.
Yes, hello there, fellow boys and girls. Welcome to our wrap-up for The Boys Season 4. Great to have you over to the pub.
Absolutely.
And yes, of course, fellow quizzes as well.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Oi, oi. I'm back as well. Hey, I'm here for this one too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm going to bring all the bangers and mash, the English tea, the pot kettle black, all those English acronyms. That's not acronyms. That's even worse because I could go AA. That's an acronym. It's AYE. What's an acronym for? Who knows? All these answers and more throughout this episode while I quickly Google away.
Absolutely, Chris. You still know nothing about
British culture.
Your island slang.
No.
Yeah.
Do you know, I know it's weird. I'm doing a rewatch of the most recent Doctor Who series, right? The Russell T Davies shows, and there's an early episode with David Tennant and Billie Piper where Billie Piper gets possessed by an alien from another planet who realizes she's a chav from London and tries to impersonate her accent, and that is almost pitch perfect what you just did there, Chris.
Yeah.
So it just reminded me of that episode of Cassandra. For you Doctor Who fans out there, there you go.
Hey, just don't blow my cover, okay? Don't blow my cover.
There you go. There you go. But boys, before we get into a couple of news announcements that came out since the episodes aired for the boys on Prime Video, 55 million viewers globally for the boys season 4. Massive.
That is pretty
so
big.
Small,
Yeah.
so small.
Like love sausage, that's pretty big.
That's pretty big. Yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is. Like really, really big show still. And this, we've said it before when we talk about all of our podcasts that we've done for the last 10 years. The Boys is our biggest series. Absolutely blows all of our other shows out of the water in terms of listenership. So thank you so much to all of our boys and girls that joined us over the last 8 episodes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, been really good to have you with us. And we will of course be back with Gen V and with the Boys season 5 to wrap up the show as well. Another quick announcement, I just want to mention that Stephen Fleet, the special effects supervisor for all 4 seasons of The Boys so far, is working on a short film at the moment. He's making a short film called XY. He's looking for some funds on GoFundMe to make this short movie because it obviously costs money to do this, but you can support him over on GoFundMe. Really interesting project, and he's given so much to The Boys. He's done so much work on the 4 seasons of The Boys. It'd be kind of cool to support him to get his short movie off the ground. If you want to check that out, either Google XY short film or go to gofundme.com/XY short film to support Stephen over there. He's got a great video up there where he explains the project and why he's looking for funding for it. But
Cool.
it'd be really interesting to see. And I just want to say thanks to Eugene Basilapa for pointing out Stephen Fleet's project as well. Really interested to see what he's going to do. So thanks, Eugene, for pointing that out for us.
Excellent stuff.
And we're recording this on the 25th of July. So this is Thursday before San Diego Comic-Con, where The Boys, as part of Amazon Prime, do have a panel on Friday.
They do, yes.
Yep.
Where apparently they'll be giving an inside look at Gen V Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And supposedly much, much more.
Uh-huh.
What did that be? Could it be a Diabolical Season 2?
Oh.
Could it be? Could it be another spin-off? Could it be? Who knows? But time will tell, because literally 24 hours from now we will know.
Yep.
But you'll also know because it'll probably already be out there. The news will be out there. So just check. Go ahead and Google when you're hearing me say this. San Diego Comic-Con, Boys panel, and all the news will be up and out there. And you'll know all the finer points of what Billy Butcher has to tell you.
Absolutely. Actually, I don't think Karl Urban's actually going to be there, unfortunately. But most of the rest of the cast will be there.
Okay. Jack Quaid, whatever
Sorry,
Jack Quaid.
The only reason I say that is just because he did a funny post the other day saying he's leaving The Boys season 5 because of parasitic issues, I think it was. So the part of, as I joked, the part of Billy Butcher will be played by Billy Butcher next year. So yeah, excited to see what's coming out of San Diego Comic-Con. Lots of stuff going to be going out this weekend as well. But maybe we'll get some of the other fabled projects that are coming from The Boys, given how big the show was this year as well. We maybe get some other spin-offs from it.
You know, it's going to be The Girls.
Perhaps.
Who knows?
All right. Well, I think it's time. Our wonderful boys and girls have been waiting for a very long time to get all the answers for our Boys Season 4 pub quiz.
Yes, and quizzes, of course. Don't forget the quizzes.
Of course.
Yes, fellow boys and girls, fellow quizzes, let us get into the answers for the 8 questions from this season's pub quiz. Question 1. What 2 states at the start of the episode swing to the Singer-Neuman election ticket? The answer is Colorado and Nevada. I'm sure there must be some hidden meaning in that for the upcoming election, but I just don't know what it is.
Not close enough.
Be some kind of electoral history in the US to suggest something around one of the tickets that will be in the US presidential election at some point.
I'm sure there will be. Question 2. How many beers in total did Kimiko actually have in episode 2? She says that she had 8. She signs that she had 8 eventually. She does have one more during the scene, so we're going to accept either 8 or 9. Most people, in fairness to the entrants that came in for this, most people put down 8 and 9 just to cover themselves. So we're going to accept both from you.
But those of you who put 89, no, we're not taking it.
Yep.
Next up, question 3. What name was Firecracker previously known as? Yes, she was Sparkler. Yes, because, firecrackers and sparklers go hand in hand.
Yes, they do. And sparklers traditionally used on 4th of July, a big American festival. So, yeah, I guess that's probably where she came from, going from sparklers to firecrackers, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. On to question 4. What album does Colin play for Frenchie? It is Crying Time by Ray Charles. Of course, a lot of crying time to come for Frenchie here after his events and role in the death of Colin's family come to light.
Absolutely.
So, yes, for question 4, the album that Colin was playing for Frenchie is Crying Time by Ray Charles.
Excellent. Question 5 for episode 5. Why did Hughie's dad want to go to Paris? As we said, we didn't realise how heavy that episode was going to be when we wrote the question down. But what he wanted to do was go on the Da Vinci Code walking tour so he could follow in the footsteps of Tom Hanks in Paris. That was his big thing that he wanted to go and see. Not the Eiffel Tower, although they would all be taken in, I guess. But yeah,
I kind of want to do that too. Is that bad?
Yes.
I'll go to the Louvre. I'm going to go to the Eiffel Tower. I'll go to the Arch because all of those things are going to be on the Da Vinci walking tour.
That's true.
That is true.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're all in the Da Vinci Code.
Although I do love when they spread Hughie Senior's ashes. They're spreading it at the Made in Manhattan walking tour in New York.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it equivalent to the Da Vinci Code? I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, same. I kind of have a soft spot for the Da Vinci Code, so I wouldn't mind going on a walking tour.
Yeah, let's do it for the 2000th episode.
There you
we'll
go.
record
We can do a podcast
while we walk. Next up, question 6. What is the name of the correctional facility where Frenchie is held? The answer is Vernon Correctional Facility. Yep. And the one thing he will not let in is visitors.
Yeah, there for a whole episode and a half. And then broke it out without any muss or fuss.
Yeah, absolutely. On to question 7. Which country was Mother's Milk sending his family to for safety away from the Seven? It was Belize.
And our Doctor of Geography is confirming Belize is a country, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I didn't know, I must admit.
It is a country.
Excellent.
In Central America.
Good stuff. Our final question for episode 8 is, what's Ashley's last name? Ashley's last name, a character who's been in the show for 4 seasons, is Ashley Barrett. But just in case you didn't know that, you actually didn't have to go to IMDb, as I joked on the episode. Her full name does appear on screen at the start of the episode when she's announcing the write-off of A-Train's movie. You see Ashley Barrett appearing at the start of the screen. Just why it made me laugh particularly is that her name has appeared on screen more often than almost every character in the show. So, but everybody has ignored it and forgotten it, which I always think is funny about the rest of the 7.
Girl boss CEO.
That's her.
So then, fellow quizzers, we've got a good number of you that have made the electronic tombola draw that Chris will be doing with his technology. Yes. In the draw are Dr. Bob Phillips, Jamie Lawson, Coffee and Vodka, Pete Damalassis, Gideon Davis, Will Walton, Brendy Muller, Brock Mitchell, Christina C., and Amy Brown Gramblin.
Lots of new names there.
Yeah, absolutely.
For this pub quiz.
Excellent. Welcome, fellow quizzers and fellow boys and girls. Good luck for this pub quiz draw.
Absolutely.
So everyone that I've just said has gotten all the answers correct.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it is the electronic tombola for some goodies.
Yeah. And the reason I don't normally announce the goodies, just so you guys know, is because this is open worldwide. And if I announced what you were going to get and I couldn't get it for you, I'd be really disappointed. But I have my eye on 2 very specific things. I know exactly what I'm getting for you. The winner will find out. And I might even edit it into the podcast once I know exactly where the winner's from. So before the podcast comes out. So I may edit it into the podcast. But I don't want to disappoint anybody because the 2 items are really cool, but one's only available in one territory and the other one's only available in the other territory.
Oh, so, wow.
There's the thing. So, there you go. So, Chris, do you want to give us a number between 1 and 10?
Sure. Hey, Google, select a random number between 1 and 10. 5.
Excellent. Congratulations, Gideon Davis. Yes.
Well done, Gideon.
Yeah, really good.
Yes, congrats, Gideon.
You are the winner of the Season 4 The Boys Podcast Pub Quiz. You are an honorary winner, and you will be getting some goodies delivered to your doorstep by postal activity.
Well, maybe, or maybe it's Amazon. I'll be in contact with you to get your details, Gideon. Thanks so much for entering the pub quiz, and a big cheers to everybody that entered the pub quiz. Sláinte.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the pub quiz and for submitting your answers. It's really good to get your involvement. The pub quiz does live or die by the entrant.
Absolutely. It's got some great entrants and some great little emails into me that always keeps me entertained when I'm reading out the answers that people are sending in throughout the podcast. So great stuff. Thank you. Fantastic. And I'm sure we'll be back with another Boys pub quiz for the final season of The Boys coming up. Thanks so much for joining. Always good fun.
Yes, thank you so much. I can't wait to see where season 5 goes. I know how the comic ended. I have no idea how the season 5 is gonna end.
One of our fellow boys and girls did spoil how the comic ended to me in one of the pieces of feedback, which of course I didn't share on the podcast. But yeah, that was a little disappointing. So the show may go very different as the show has changed direction quite considerably from the comic book, but it's entirely possible that that's exactly how it's going to end. Hey, I'll probably forget it by the time the show comes out in 2 years' time.
Of course, exactly. Don't worry. You're getting old. It's fine. The grey hair will seep into your brain and slowly pluck away that memory.
Exactly. But let's get on to some feedback from our wonderful fellow boys and girls. As we said, we recorded the last episode of the podcast before the episodes came out on Prime Video, so we've got some feedback in on that last episode and on the show overall, on the season overall. First up, we got an email in from Mike who says, I found you guys through the superhero show for the Dead Boy Detectives coverage, then caught up on all of your The Boys coverage. I'm a bit late to both, having just started watching and catching up on all since February. Hats off on the superb coverage. Look forward to seeing more Gen V in The Boys. Dead Boy Detectives is probably another story for me. Eric Kripke and I both grew up in Toledo, Ohio area and roughly the same age. I'm sure we actually have some people in common. Cheers, Mike Z from Atlanta. That's fascinating. That's very cool, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. You need to go through and trawl all people that you know to find Darick Kripke. If you like the boys, just this is your mission for 2024 and 2025.
There you go.
Find the person who connects you. That's 6 degrees of separation.
Absolutely. 7.
And exploit it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really cool, that, Mike. Yeah, great that you've managed to find us and go through our Gen V and boys coverage from back in the day, I guess.
Well, absolutely, all the way up to present time as well. But it's funny that Mike mentions that the superhero show who we did an interview for, Chris, you'll remember about a year and a half ago. They reached out saying they weren't going to cover the Dead Boy Detectives, and since we were, could we swap over and they tell their audience about our show, so they could at least send people off who were watching Dead Boy Detectives. So that was quite nice of them.
Yeah.
Aw, that's good.
There you go. Thanks for reaching out, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Next up, we have some email feedback from Brendy, who had this to say. I just found you guys less than 6 weeks ago, and I'm loving the podcast. I watched season 1, 2, 3 at first without it, but then after discovering you, I decided to rewatch it in sync with your commentary and insights, and it was so much better. One thing I was shocked no one had mentioned, unless I missed it. I know you had mentioned all the other actors from Supernatural making appearances, but Rob Benedict, who played Splinter, is also a heavy hitter in the Supernatural universe. When he first came on screen in The Boys, I didn't recognize him at all. Once I finally realized it was him, we had already seen quite a few of him and quite a lot of him. I love Rob, he's a great guy, and like I said, it's not weird. I just thought he deserved a Supernatural shout out. Thanks for the 4 great seasons. I'm so looking forward to season 5, and while we wait, I'll be watching other shows with you and the boys and girls. I'm hooked. Brendy Mueller. Thank you so much, Brendy. Glad to have you on board. I'm going to pass over to the other 2 because they are the Supernatural watchers. I briefly flirted with season 1 and quickly stopped.
Too much horror for you,
It's one
Chris.
of those ones I just need to get into it, and I just never got into it.
Yeah. I think we're on to about halfway through season 2 on our rewatch at the moment as well,
which is really good.
Yeah.
We haven't yet got to his character, which was Chuck, the kind of writer who was I think thought to be a prophet of God.
Yeah.
So it's not quite gotten to that stage of our rewatch yet, but definitely recognize him. And in The Boys, then it was Splinter that he played.
Yes, the guy who was doing a lot to himself with multiple variants of himself.
Oh, he was the multiple man guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. I didn't even recognize the name Splinter because he's only in one episode of The Boys, but when I just looked it up there, I was like, oh yeah, of course, yeah. We did see an awful lot of them.
We certainly did.
Yeah.
But thanks, Brendy. And
Absolutely.
Certainly really pleased that you've found the podcast as well, and are hoping to enjoy some of our other coverage of other shows.
Absolutely.
As well.
Absolutely. I don't think we were podcasting when Supernatural started, so we've never covered that on the podcast, but there's loads of other stuff out there.
That would have been awesome, actually.
It would have been good. I don't know whether any Supernatural podcast did actually last the full 12 seasons of Supernatural. A lot of them covered the Eric Kripke years, and some come on later, but I'm not sure.
I would say it requires stamina for sure.
22 episode seasons as well.
Yeah, exactly. Right, when we did Gotham.
Yeah.
Which was 22. Like, whoa, they did seem to just drag sometimes.
Some seasons were longer than others. Absolutely. I loved Gotham, though. I really enjoyed it so much that we did Pennyworth, and we're going to be coming back with Penguin later on this year as well. So, yeah, it'll be all good. Great stuff. Thanks, Brendy.
Thanks, Brendy.
Also on email, Coffee and Vodka says, greetings, fellow dystopian defenders. Project 2025 indeed, with the Supreme Court granting godlike amnesty, all on super steroids. As the sun set on Homelander's triumph and Butcher with his currently unusable one-shot solution, my heart sank like it was the reality it may one day be. This episode and season were as amazing as they were depressing. The one hurt moment was how Annie accessed the presidential sub-basement so quickly and easily from wherever she was being held. The rest was pure poetry, from its brief highs to its deep lows. Best character moments, Sage gloating to Homelander, Hughie's relief at not losing Annie, Frenchie and Kimiko's kiss, and poor Mother's Milk, realizing he'll never be free of love sausage. Now, if anyone has a time machine, I could borrow so as not to have to wait for season 5. For the final episode, 5 altered Ashleys, carpooling cancers, and little orphan octopi out of 5. For the season, 4.5 prophetic programs out of 5. Peace and take care. Coffee and vodka.
Yeah. Boy, it's definitely a prophetic program.
Oh, it really is. Although, I wonder if did they predict Kamala Harris from left field?
Well, kind of. They predicted that the VP was going to take over from the president.
Well, that is true.
So that was kind of a prediction, definitely. We didn't mention on the podcast because we recorded it beforehand, but you saw they pulled the name of the episode last week. They just changed it to the season 4 finale and put up their warning that this is a fictitious program, just in case you've been watching it for 4 seasons and didn't realize that the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, superpowered creep on screen is not a former president of the US. It's a fictitious show. Don't get worked up. They'd written and done it 2 years ago. So, but they did change the name given given what had gone on in the US.
Well, that is
they
true.
They released a PR statement the night before too. They did everything just to make people understand that this is a fictitious show.
Yeah, just in case.
Just in case you weren't sure.
Just in case the superhero that flies and has laser eyes isn't enough of a giveaway.
Exactly. Some people live in that world that they think it is happening. Your hut moment on how Annie accessed the presidential sub-basement. You're totally right. It hadn't occurred to me. She does get in there very quickly into the sub-basement. You know, we see her effectively breaking out from where she's trapped, but she does get into a highly secured area underground without contacting anybody, basically.
Yeah, no, totally.
I wonder in a cut scene that she's talking to Butcher or getting some details from somebody on how to get there. I don't know. But it's all worth it. One of the things that's in the making of, it shows that scene where Annie fights the shapeshifter. And it's incredibly done. I didn't realize what they'd done. They didn't do any face replacement in the CGI. It's not her fighting a stunt double with their face being replaced with her. It's her doing the movements separately like a dance, learning all the movements, and then they're composited together, and then some CGI to kind of fix where punches may have slightly missed.
Okay,
but it's filmed as the two.
So it's almost a bit like David Washington in Tenet doing the sort of forward and reverse fighting.
Basically, yeah. But it's her doing the entire fight.
Moves forward and backwards.
Yeah. But it's her doing the entire fight on both sides.
Wow.
Not a body double. How cool is that? I love that kind
cool.
of stuff in behind the scenes.
That is very cool.
Excellent stuff. Thanks, Coffee and Vodka. I'm glad you enjoyed the season as much as we did as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally concur with that season out of 5.
Yeah, 4.5 out of 5.
They're really solid. I mean, it always has been, and that's the great thing about this show.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just on point. I think, maybe sometimes a few things aren't explained fully, like with the point raised by Coffee and Vodka around Annie accessing the presidential sort of superhero-proof sub-basement.
Yeah.
But in the scheme of things, you know, it's really, really consistent, actually.
Absolutely. It's really good stuff. Go check out the X-ray once again. We'll advertise it since Prime Video don't seem to advertise it. Go check out the X-ray for each episode. It's behind the scenes discussion that's on there, but there's also been some stuff on threads over the last couple of weeks from the people behind the show, telling you how they did some of the stuff. I'd love to have the big Blu-ray extras for this show because it seems so cool.
They really do need to do that, don't they? They really need to start telling people again. Like, otherwise we're gonna... I know it's up to us and we do it a lot, but like, honestly, just even bundling a lot of the X-ray stuff, like you said, into its own, kind of like what Marvel do sometimes when they do the Marvel Dissembled, or Assembled, depending on which one.
Exactly.
But I think they need to do that for like The Boys Broken Down, or what, like The Boys Breakdown is probably a bad one for this one, or the boys
the boys have
desouped.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I think pulling it all together, because I honestly think half the people, no, I'll go ahead and say 70% of people don't even know about X-ray features.
I swear it's just the functionality of how it's been incorporated in their app. Like, remember, the show started out with its own after show, which had all the cast sitting around discussing scenes behind the scenes, all the people behind the show, with Aisha Tyler. It's now Eric Kripke and 4 members of the cast sitting down for about an hour and a half, and then it's split on each of the 8 episodes, so it's much smaller than it used to be. It's a very low production, but even to see that is cool, and they should have it available. I think I saw the Prime Video are doing a big update to their Prime Video app, which hopefully will take care of that and make it ready to go. We've got Rings of Power coming later on this year from season 2 on Prime Video, and they had huge background stuff, behind the scenes stuff that they did for the first season. So hopefully it'll be in there and ready to go for that. But good stuff. Thanks so much for your feedback, Coffee Vodka.
Yeah, thanks, Coffee and Vodka.
Next up on email, we got Meryl Smith, who had some feedback on episode 7 and episode 8. Starts off in episode 7 saying, all the characters continue to be put through the proverbial ringer. Homelander's sanity continues to boil over. Thankfully, we were not subjected to another milk-drinking moment. Butcher's not going to be in control when he wakes up, if that look from Kessler was any indication. Also, love the fight at the boys' headquarters. The cathartic moment of Annie beating down the deep. A-Train coming to the rescue with MM, and the surprises from all the members when it comes to noir. Every noir has a weakness. A tree nut allergy for Noir 1 and being narcoleptic for Noir 2. I can't believe Sage was also involved in Noir as well. Good reveal. Speaking of reveals, let's discuss The Insider. This episode title was really referencing the shapeshifter. This is the second time in the series that a shapeshifter has successfully pulled off sexpionage. Also, once you think about certain things, all the red flags start to show themselves. Early in the episode, Annie shares her disgust of the costume, while later it's the complete opposite. That's the first red flag. Also, whenever she is sexualized in the show, it's always seen as a bad thing in a commentary on how industries will sexualize their employees to see product, or that the shady people at the top are creeps and do not have your best interest at heart. So this particular time when Annie is with Hughie, it seems almost male fantasy coded rather than an intimate moment between the two, which is different from how it was in season 1. Even the way they have sex is completely different. Here's hoping for the Deep's swift demise in the finale. I think it's finally time. Justice for Ambrosius. Also, I just got this. The word bro is in Ambrosius's name. Of course it is. Love that Buffy the Vampire Slayer over-exaggerated death. 4 shapeshifters with red flags that you could see from space but can't due to the power of horny out of 5. Oh, I love that. That's excellent. Yeah, we mentioned the death of Ambrosius being a nod to the death in Buffy the Vampire Slayer of Paul Rubin's character, where he dies all the way through the closing credits of that movie. So it's a nice touch in there as well. I'm sorry this feedback came in after we recorded episode 8, so we couldn't share it at the time, but you were totally on to some of the things that were revealed in the final episode about the shapeshifter being overly sexualized version of Annie, and that's it's called out by Annie herself when she's talking to Hughie. Hang on a second. The reason why you slept with her 20 times is because she was ready to go. The thing you want me to be all the time. You don't want somebody with a real person with real problems, basically. So that was the big call out from Annie in their fight. So. And also one of the bits that you mentioned there, Meryl, about Black Noir having having something, some weakness in both versions, in the first version and this new version that can talk. The actor Nathan Mitchell, according to Chace Crawford, is actually a narcoleptic. He used to fall asleep on set. Since he doesn't have any lines, he just has to sit there a lot of times, watching everything that's going on around him. And apparently he used to fall asleep with the mask on very often. So they incorporated that into the character, which I think is very funny.
Yeah, that's hilarious. And thanks, Meryl, for, pointing to the glaringly obvious, not only with the red flags, but that bro is in Ambrosius's name. And I'm kind of looking for the Deep's swift demise now. I mean, for justice for Ambrosius, but I think also it would be hilarious if maybe the demise was at the hands of 7 orphan octopi. And also, I think just because of the beatdown from A-Train and Annie, I felt like, okay, this is nearing the end.
Yeah.
Now, obviously he does survive, and he becomes even worse. So
he does, absolutely.
Rampaging through Vought Tower
Yeah.
To kill the people on the list. So, yeah.
I do feel Deep was punished for 3 seasons for what he did in the first episode, definitely, and rightly so. And I feel like they're building him back up again so that he can be punished repeatedly throughout even more episodes of the final season. So I don't think it's going to be a swift death for the Deep. I think it's going to be a very ironic one, but maybe over the course of a few episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Meryl had some feedback on the finale. She says, there were a couple of things that I knew going into the finale, such as that Kate and Sam would be appearing in there due to a behind-the-scenes photo that referenced it, and what happens in the finale would lead into Gen V Season 2. This sent me into the ultimate spiral of speculation. Maybe Kate would end up inducing another mind trip on someone like I was suspecting that she would at the end of the show when I first saw the behind-the-scenes photograph. And it turns out she was right. That's exactly what happened with Kate. But it's... shockingly, it's Frenchie, and Kimiko ends off screaming as Kate takes away Frenchie completely under her spell, effectively.
Yeah, exactly.
So just that one behind-the-scenes photograph gave the inclination that it was going to be one of the boys taken by Kate, but I wouldn't have suspected that it was going to be Frenchie.
No.
Probably would have thought it would be maybe Hughie or Annie. One of the bigger ones.
One
of the big characters. Yeah.
Well, we know Frenchie has definitely got... Well, we know that he concocted the virus, so that's why they may be taking his control, because they're like, hey, they want him to do the exact same, but to kill all non-soups.
Either that or, we just want him off the board, maybe.
Yeah.
Let's get that guy that's able to build things to kill us off the board. Brilliant stuff. Thanks so much, Meryl, for the feedback on the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Thanks, Meryl, for the feedback. Over on Facebook, we have some feedback from Heather Wallace, who says, the show has gone from satire to prophecy, hasn't it? Mm-hmm. This season has been very unsettling. The violence and tension has ramped up, and the core relationships have felt disconnected. Hughie and Butcher have barely interacted. Frenchie and Kimiko were strained. Mother's Milk seemed isolated in the group by being its leader, and even though Hughie and Annie were together, they haven't felt close. This episode resolved all those issues, and moments later ripped everyone apart. The gang's silent goodbyes reminded me of the end of the first Avengers, and it was sad but hopeful, and then they were all captured. It was heartbreaking seeing Kimiko finally able to speak, as Frenchie was compelled to ignore her and entered captivity. At least Hughie was able to signal Annie to go. Mm-hmm. So A-Train is still out there. Annie is on the run. Will a newly empowered Ashley join them? And what side will Ryan land in all of this? It's 1 step forward, 2 steps back with Ryan, but at least it was Grace who mucked it up this time and not Butcher. But wow, that look Ryan gave Grace's body was chilling. Yeah, thanks so much, Heather, and totally right. I mean, Ryan is really a difficult one to read, and maybe it's just all those adolescent hormones. You don't know what he's going to do. He's deciding whether he is going to be a menace to society or its savior. He just can't quite stick the landing as to where he's going to be.
I think we all forget how influential grown-ups are to you when you're aged like 12 and 13. You know, if you have the wrong teacher around you, you suddenly are going down a really bizarre path, you know, a really bad path. If you have the right teacher around you, you could be going to cure cancer. You know, this is the situation that Ryan finds himself in.
Is he going to rob cars and put them up on bricks, or is he going to like help old people across the road?
Yeah.
And sing in the church choir.
Yeah, and hopefully not really fast into a wall like he did with his stuntman. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think Ryan's going to be bad. I literally think they're going to end with him being bad, not being taken off the board. I think that's where he's going to end.
Interesting.
Because he's done a lot of dark things. Yeah. And I suppose all of them have. But I think it's...
I think Ryan being so young, I think there's a way back for him. And I think there's a point where he has to stand on his own 2 feet and go, I'm not going to be Butcher and I'm not going to be Homelander. I'm going to be my own thing. And whether that is the ultimate evil or whether that's, you know, killing both Butcher and Homelander to put an end to everything.
And I can see why he's all over the place being an adolescent. And also with Soldier Boy being possibly brought back onto the table, how... how will Grandpa affect him?
All right, the 3 generations. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting to see. Brilliant stuff. Thanks, Heather. We also got some feedback in on Facebook from Eugene Basil Abbott, who says, I'm on my way to work, but despite all of the screeching noises I want to make, oh my God, Cindy's back. I'm still reeling from the finale. I hope Sister Sage is the ultimate big bad. I also have this weird hope that Ashley ends up horribly disfigured from the V, sort of like the Toxic Avenger. Seeing her trying to put a wig on a misshapen skull feels very on brand for Ashley. She's simply not lucky enough to come out of this in any positive way. I can see that with Ashley.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But I'm looking forward to seeing her potentially hand the Deep and Black Noir their arse on a plate.
Potentially, yeah. That'd be really good to finally have her stand up and be able to push back against the Supes who've treated her like absolute crap for the last 3 seasons since she took over from Madeline. It'd be really interesting to see her being able to do that. But I totally see what Eugene says. I don't think Ashley's that lucky. There was an interview with again Colby Minifie where she was saying she was so excited when she got the script that says she takes actual compound V here, and all the rest of the actors were like, "Oh, that must have been so cool. What are your powers?" And she's like, "I don't know yet. They haven't written season 5." So, so she's really excited about it, but had no idea where it's going herself.
That would be hilarious if kind of like Love Sausage Mark 2.
Well, maybe. I'm kind of thinking, is she Gollum in the corner with the massive brain, but nobody can look at her, something like that.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Thanks, Eugene.
Absolutely. Thanks, Eugene.
Thanks, Eugene. Next up, we also have some feedback from Joe Herbers, who had this to say. Good finale. The season definitely picked up late. Was very surprised they killed Neuman that way. I thought sure she'd take a shot at Homelander sometimes and that would likely be her end. Seems like they were going to give us an Empire Strikes Back ending, but then it got darker. Kimiko's first words in decades are screamed, good that Annie got away. Maybe she'll meet up with A-Train. Perhaps she, they, or Butcher will break out the other boys. Seems like Soldier Boy will return to add more chaos to the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, definitely The Empire Strikes Back, but darker is a good way of putting it. Like, they basically want to end on that very dark note to see where... But the show has always been dark.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always that way.
Yeah.
The one thing I did like is actually... I don't think I said it in the finale. Annie's takeoff, where, like, we've seen her training to do that kind of hover throughout the season. And then when she, like... shot off like a firecracker or like a rocket.
A rocket, not a firecracker.
So like she basically jumped and then was like, she flies as well as Homelander, if not better. Like, or at least takes off better than Homelander, I'd say that.
And she literally only got her powers back there in the car on the way on leaving, wasn't it? She didn't really use her powers throughout that episode and hasn't used them for a number of episodes before.
No, well, they were on the Fritz, weren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, thanks, Joe.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Also on Facebook, David, Mr. Writer, says, never, ever, 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 ever in your life doubt Eric Kripke. Wow, wow, wow. What a way to lull us to sleep all season and then bam, over the head like a love sausage schlong. That is by far the best season finale of all 4 seasons. Wow, I have so much to say, but I don't know how to express myself. I actually gasped when Victoria was taken out. Feel sorry for Zoe at the end. They brought back all the loose hoodlums from Red River and Gen V. Oh my goodness, Kimiko screaming no. Poor Frenchie as well. Annie's Superman fly-off was super badass. I'm all over the place, guys. I'm clearly overloaded. And Butcher, there's so much. Can't wait to hear the podcast. Thank you so much, overwhelmed David, Mr. Writer. Yeah, no, absolutely. There was so much going on. And just how it plays into the dark space of what could have happened was just really good.
Absolutely.
Oh, and by the way, I did add way more evers than David Mr. Writer had intended, but I just wanted to agree with him.
Yeah, never ever
special
what Eric Kripke's going to deliver for you in this final season. Like, you know, he's he's such a good showrunner for these shows. I suddenly had this conversation the other day with one of our listeners about, you know, now that Eric Kripke has announced this final season of The Boys is coming. He's not the actual showrunner on Gen V, although he is involved heavily in that show. But what's next? Does he have a plan? He had one coming out of Supernatural when he finished working on that. What is the next project that is in Eric Kripke's mind? I would be so excited. I'm so interested to find out what that is.
Absolutely.
Because he's done such a good job in both of those shows for his 5 seasons at each.
A mashup of Supernatural and The Boys.
Well, we could get that next season. You know, we have Soldier Boy back. We have Kessler in Billy Butcher's head, and we've mentioned before that Jared Padalecki is going to be hopefully coming in for season 5. So we could have all 3 characters, while not necessarily on screen together. All 3 characters could be there next season. Maybe they're all in prison with Robert Singer. So we have Bobby Singer in prison with the other 3 characters from Supernatural. There you go. My prediction.
I do wonder what Kripke will do, because he has also done a lot with Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg as well. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they're working on this. They've done work on the Invincible. Invincible is where they put a lot of their effort at the moment. Also, Invincible film that they're planning. So I do wonder what, like, maybe it's an Invincible universe live action.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? Because Kripke has a way of just figuring out a very much showrunner style tone on a very much singular project, and then just hitting it running.
Yeah.
And usually he nails that tone so well that, yeah, he can pop in and out and do the odd, he'll open and close a season with some of the directing, but mostly he's just, I don't think he's yet had that was a bit of a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I wonder, you know, since he takes so much inspiration, or took so much inspiration from Neil Gaiman when he created his Supernatural universe, I wonder whether he'll go off and maybe create a Neil Gaiman project.
That'd be interesting.
I know Sandman TV show is still in production, but unlikely that he'll jump on board with that. But so many other projects he could take on.
There's the Nazi Boys show that's currently in the works as well.
Yeah, that's all completed filming though. That has completed. So and that's a one-off as far as I know, based on the one book. So you never know. He might find something else in the Neil Gaiman universe to work on. Brilliant stuff. I want to say a huge thank you, of course, to all of our fellow boys and girls who've been sending their feedback in throughout the season. It's always an interesting thing when we're recording in advance, and then we get to see your feedback afterwards, and hopefully it aligns pretty closely to what we've been thinking about the show. So yeah, thank you so much for sending in your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, fellow boys and girls, for all the feedback that you send in. It's a really good way of just actually getting to understand some of the episodes better for myself. Yeah. But it's just great interaction with our fellow listeners and, of course, the fellow boys and girls. In the same way as with the pub quiz and all that, it's great to get the thoughts, theories, and observations that you come in with. Even if you're totally overloaded, David Mr. Writer, love that reaction to Absolutely. Such a good ending for this season.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. I can't help but echo what the guys say. Having you guys in for feedback, reading it, and sometimes I miss a couple of episodes, but I still see all the feedback and I nod along, or when I'm listening to you guys talk. So yeah, as always, it is great to have our fellow boys and girls along for the ride, and I can only wait to see what we all get up to and all of our thoughts in season 5.
Absolutely. So that's it. That's the end of our Boys season 4 coverage. We will be back, of course, for Gen V season 2 next year, and basically we believe, and the announcement will be coming out at San Diego Comic-Con this weekend, I'm sure, but we believe season 5 of The Boys will be going into filming later on this year and will be coming out in 2026, so it'll be one a year for the next 2 years. So and of course we have no idea what the future of The Boys is after that. That might be discussed at San Diego Comic-Con this weekend, but we don't know just yet. What we are covering here on TV podcast industries coming up. If you like your comic book content and you like your final season's content, we will be covering Umbrella Academy, which is coming up next month on Netflix. So we will be covering that. More close to home, I guess, something that's happening really soon. It should be the next podcast in your feed. We will be covering the full season of Star Wars The Acolyte in a podcast that'll be coming out in the next day or so for you as well. And we'll be going back to the cinema for even more comic book related content. Go to see Deadpool and Wolverine, the comedy movie, bridging the gap between the Fox universe, the X-Men universe, and the Marvel universe.
Yes. In Feige we trust in this one.
Let's hope so.
Fingers crossed.
I'm not the biggest fan of the Deadpool movies. I know Chris is a massive fan of Deadpool. John, you're a massive fan of Deadpool. You're a big fan of Deadpool. I'm not the biggest fan of those movies. I've watched them recently again, though they were a lot of fun. But I think they're a bit more disposable than what I like in my MCU entertainment. So let's see if they can do something less disposable with Deadpool and Wolverine.
I think they will. I think it's if anything, I think a lot of people will find fun. I think a lot of people will find action. And I think for those of us who are deep in the MCU lore, I think we'll find enough connective tissue to, I would say, I think you'll be good to great. I think myself and John might be great to excellent.
To passing out from sheer happiness.
Exactly.
Excellent. But you should be able to find that on our feed on tvpodcastindustries.com. That should be coming out hopefully next week. We're all going to the cinema to see that in the next couple of days. So thanks so much for joining us. We'll speak to you again next time.
Yes, thank you from me, and I can't wait to talk about Gen V and the boys in the coming years.
Yeah, thanks so much, fellow boys and girls, for joining us for this season of The Boys. And of course, keep watching, keep listening, and don't forget your pints from the bar. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.